Once revered as the sacred mother in ancient India, the dairy cow today is not only a humble source of nourishment for millions of families around the world, but also a lasting symbol of the modern global agricultural industry. But have you ever wondered how billions of dairy cows are raised, milked, and processed every year? It all begins at vast organic pastures and large-scale modern dairy farms, where these gentle animals are raised, fed, and cared for with the deep experience of dedicated farmers. Through strict control systems, streams of fresh milk are swiftly transported to specialized processing facilities, where skilled workers and advanced technology work hand in hand to turn that milk into bottled milk, creamy butter, rich cheese, and many other delicious dairy products. Today, Agriculture Insight invites you into the world of dairy farming to discover how this humble animal has become one of the most profitable heroes of modern agriculture. Right now, let's dive into this fascinating journey. Are your cows truly living a happy life? When cows are happy, they give back in the best way they know how, with rich, creamy milk. But when stress creeps in, whether it's a noisy barn, a sudden change in routine, or just a grumpy farmer in a bad mood, milk production dips, the barn gets tense, and suddenly, even the cows aren't smiling anymore. Modern dairy farming represents a true revolution, a dramatic leap from the traditional practices that sustained human civilization for over 8,000 years. And today, producing over 900 billion liters of milk each year is no longer the sole measure of success. That's why more and more farmers are returning to their roots, adopting pasture-based and organic dairy farming models. Instead of confining cows in enclosed industrial barns, these farms allow them to roam freely for 6 to 12 hours a day on wide-open pastures, living according to their natural biological rhythms. Each cow is milked only once or twice a day, usually in the morning and afternoon, and only when they are truly ready, producing cool, nutrient-rich milk at its best. These pasture-based and organic models are mainly concentrated in Europe, New Zealand, Australia, and certain U.S. states such as California, Oregon, and Vermont, where mild climates, abundant grasslands, and ethically minded consumers create the ideal conditions for sustainable dairy. Milk yields in these systems are lower, at just 15 to 25 liters per cow daily, but the milk is higher in quality, with more natural fats, omega-3s, and minimal residues. However, due to higher costs and lower yields, organic dairy models are still unable to meet the growing global demand for milk. As a result, industrial dairy farming now accounts for over 90% of the world's total milk production and continues to play a crucial role in the global food supply chain, delivering economic value, high productivity, and operational stability that smaller-scale systems have yet to match. And to keep that massive dairy empire running, everything begins with vast green pastures, where grasses like alfalfa, oatgrass, ryegrass, and corn are carefully cultivated, officially entering the harvest season in late spring or early summer. Farmers invest in advanced machinery such as the John Deere or Krone EasyCut series, which use traditional rotary shaft or horizontal disc cutting systems. Immediately after being cut, the grass passes through a conditioner unit, which uses rubber rollers or metal tines to gently crimp the stems. This process helps the grass dry more evenly and creates ideal conditions for fermentation during the ensiling process that follows. After harvesting, the chopped forage is transported and dumped into a bunker silo, a large concrete or tarp-covered trench that can hold anywhere from several hundred to several thousand tons. Inside the silo, the forage is tightly compacted using trucks or rollers to remove air, then sealed with plastic sheets weighted down by tires or sandbags, creating anaerobic conditions where lactic acid bacteria ferment the material, lower the pH, and prevent spoilage. Once all the ingredients are ready, They are loaded into a TMR mixer to create a balanced feed tailored to each stage of the cow's development. If you're managing a herd of 10,000 dairy cows, the average daily feed requirement would be around 250 tons of silage, 50 tons of hay, 80 tons of ground corn, 40 tons of soybean meal, and 2 tons of minerals and vitamins. That's why, for many American farmers, dairy farming isn't an easy job. It's a lifelong investment, a treasured asset, and a symbol of pride passed down through generations. After the feed is mixed, an automatic feed pusher moves along the barn aisle, pushing the feed closer to the trough to make it easier for the cows to eat and to reduce waste. Though they may experience happiness in different ways, dairy cows raised on modern farms are still provided with dedicated welfare measures to help them achieve optimal health and productivity. Regular health checks are strictly carried out, from monitoring temperature and hoof conditions to observing gait and breathing patterns. Cows also receive routine hoof trimming to prevent infections and ensure they can stand and walk comfortably. Much like familiar pets such as dogs and cats, cows enjoy being stroked, scratched, and soothed after meals. That's why some farms have installed automated massage systems, gently rotating brushes placed right inside the barn, allowing cows to relax, reduce stress, and stimulate blood circulation. After around 15 to 16 months, the cows reach maturity and take on a greater mission: to give birth to the next generation, ensuring that the flow of milk never stops. This begins with one of the most important steps in dairy farming: fertilization. To better control breeding timing and optimize reproductive efficiency, most modern farms have adopted artificial insemination with the support of advanced technology. The exact timing of ovulation in dairy cows can now be pinpointed down to the hour, ensuring higher success rates and more efficient herd management. After 9 months of pregnancy, the mother cow gives birth to a calf. A sacred moment, but one that is far from easy. Calving can be quite challenging, especially for first-time mothers, and often requires direct assistance from the farmer to ensure the safety of both the cow and her newborn calf. But not all of these calves will get the chance to become mothers. After birth, male calves are typically separated from their mothers and sent to specialized facilities where they are raised for beef or veal production. Although some may be selected for breeding if they show good genetic traits. Meanwhile, female calves are usually kept on the farm and raised in individual pens, bottle-fed, and carefully monitored for nutrition and health on a daily basis, because these young heifers are considered the future milk machines of the farm. After giving birth, this is the golden moment when the mother cow officially enters her lactation phase, which typically lasts around 9 to 10 months. Before milking, the udder is carefully cleaned with warm water and a sanitizing solution, then dried with a soft towel, and each teat is briefly checked for any signs of infection or inflammation. This step is crucial. Not only does it ensure milk hygiene, but it also helps the cow feel relaxed and comfortable, making her more ready for the milking process. When it's time for milking, the mother cows are guided to an automated milking station where the process is smooth and stress-free. The automated milking system gently attaches to the udder, mimicking the natural sucking motion of a calf. Each cow can produce around 30 to 40 liters of milk per day, and that's why, at large farms, total daily production can exceed 50,000 liters, enough to fill a small swimming pool. The milk flows directly through a closed pipeline system into a stainless steel cooling tank, kept at 4 degrees Celsius to preserve freshness and prevent bacterial growth. And that's just one half of the cow's journey. Within just a few hours of being collected, the milk is transported in specialized insulated tankers to the processing plant, where the second half of its journey begins, transforming into fresh milk, butter, cheese, or meat for millions of families. First, for dairy-based products. As soon as the tankers carrying tens of thousands of liters of milk arrive at the factory, the fresh milk is pumped into large stainless steel storage silos. Before entering the main processing line, each batch of milk must undergo a strict quality control process. Samples are tested to measure fat content, protein levels, pH, and most importantly, to check for microbial contamination, antibiotic residues, and impurities. If a batch of milk fails to meet the required standards, it is immediately rejected and never enters the production line. To produce fresh milk or butter, the process always begins with an essential preliminary step: cream separation. Although this step carries the same name, the way fat content is handled can vary, and if you're not paying close attention, it's easy to get confused. In cow's milk, since the natural fat content can fluctuate, the milk is first pasteurized and then separated into cream and skim milk using a centrifuge, leaving the skim milk with a residual fat content of around 0.05% to 0.1%. That's why, after separation, an exact amount of cream is added back into the skim milk to create different types of milk with specific fat levels, such as whole milk around 3.25% fat, reduced fat milk, typically 2%, low-fat milk, or fat-free milk, 0.1%. However, when cream is separated for butter production, the process is handled differently. The cream is kept in its natural liquid form, with a fat content ranging from 35% to 40%, and it becomes the key ingredient for churning those golden, smooth, and richly flavored blocks of butter we all know and love. The milk is then passed through a homogenizer, where large fat globules are broken down under high pressure and evenly dispersed throughout the liquid. This process prevents the milk from separating, preserves a smooth texture, and makes it easier to digest. To ensure safety, the milk is pasteurized once more before entering the packaging stage, where it is prepared for distribution to consumers. Meanwhile, the cream collected during the earlier separation stage is further processed to produce butter. Before moving on to the churning stage, the cream must be pasteurized to eliminate harmful bacteria while preserving its natural flavor. It is quickly heated to 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds, just enough to kill bacteria without affecting the fat or flavor, and then rapidly cooled to prepare for the butter churning process. Next, if cream separation is the foundation of milk production, then churning is the heart of the butter-making process. The cream is poured into an industrial butter churn and continuously agitated to break down the fat structure. At first, the cream gradually thickens, and then tiny butter granules begin to form and clump together into smooth, solid butter. The remaining liquid, known as buttermilk, is separated and collected for use in other products, such as baking goods, salad dressings, or cultured dairy drinks. After the butter has formed, it is washed with cold water to remove any remaining buttermilk, helping it last longer and preventing it from turning sour. A specialized machine then kneads and mixes the butter to achieve a smooth, uniform texture. Flavorings such as salt or herbs can be added at this stage to enhance taste and create different butter varieties. This is the step that defines the unique flavor profiles of famous butter brands like Land O'Lakes, Kerrygold, or President. Once the butter reaches the desired smoothness, fat content, and flavor, it is transferred to a molding machine, where it is shaped into sticks, blocks, or larger portions, depending on the intended use. While dairy butter continues to dominate global production, vegan butter, typically made from plant-based ingredients like coconut oil, soybean oil, or avocado, is quickly gaining popularity thanks to the rising demand for plant-based diets and sustainable alternatives, offering a similar taste and texture without any animal products. When it comes to cheese, the journey of cow's milk takes an entirely different turn, contributing to a global consumption that exceeds 21.6 million metric tons each year. After the milk is pasteurized and stabilized, lactic acid bacteria are added. These beneficial microbes begin the fermentation process, converting lactose into lactic acid, creating the ideal environment for the milk to coagulate. Next, rennet enzyme is introduced, causing the milk proteins, primarily casein, to bond together and form a solid mass known as curd. In traditional cheesemaking, natural rennet is often used, extracted from the stomachs of young male calves that are not kept for dairy herds, and obtaining this enzyme requires the calf to be slaughtered at a very early age. In contrast, in large-scale modern production, where millions of tons of cheese are made each year, rennet is typically produced through biotechnology to reduce costs and ensure consistent quality. Once the milk has fully coagulated, large blades gently cut the curd into small cubes, allowing the whey, the liquid portion, to separate from the solids. The curds are then continuously stirred and gradually heated, causing them to shrink and release more moisture. The temperature and duration of this process play a crucial role in determining the cheese's texture, whether it ends up soft like mozzarella or firm like cheddar. Once the curd is firmed up, the liquid whey is separated. This byproduct serves as the raw material for producing whey protein, a widely used nutritional supplement in bodybuilding, sports nutrition, and medical diets. The remaining fresh cheese is placed into molds and pressed under high pressure to shape it and further expel excess moisture. The amount of pressure and pressing time directly influence the final moisture content of the cheese, a critical factor in distinguishing different cheese types. After pressing, the cheese is removed from the mold and enters the next essential stage, salting. Cheese can either be soaked in a brine bath or have salt rubbed directly onto its surface. Salt not only enhances flavor, but also helps regulate moisture, form the rind, and inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria. After salting, the cheese wheels are transferred to an aging room where temperature and humidity are carefully controlled. Depending on the type of cheese, the aging process can last anywhere from a few days to several years, and it is this stage that defines the cheese's richness, texture, and distinctive aroma. Have you ever wondered what happens when mother cows can no longer produce that sweet, nourishing stream of milk? They leave the farm, closing the chapter of milk and opening a new one, where every cut of meat continues the story of devotion and purpose. Before entering this final stage, thousands of dairy cows are given a period of rest, typically around 24 hours, after a long journey of transportation. While countries like India treat cows as sacred and focus primarily on dairy, others, like Japan and members of the European Union, are advancing strict animal welfare standards, proving that cow farming is as much about culture and values as it is about food. After the cow is restrained and comes into contact with the electrodes, an electric current of 1.5 to 2.5 amps is passed through the brain for about 3 seconds, rendering the animal unconscious instantly and ready for the next stage of the process. After the carcass has been suspended and the legs removed, the hide removal process officially begins, a critical step that requires seamless coordination between skilled workers and modern machinery. Once activated, a rotating drum gradually pulls the hide away from the carcass in a clean and even motion, without damaging the valuable meat underneath. The entire process is swift but demands high precision to ensure the quality of both the hide and the meat is preserved. Dairy cow hides are generally not used to produce high-end leather goods like handbags or dress shoes, as their fibers are looser and the hides are typically thinner and lower in quality compared to beef cattle hides. Instead, they are more commonly used for industrial purposes, such as making gloves, leather mats, or recycled leather materials. After the hide and internal organs are removed, The carcass undergoes a final inspection by the quality control team. If it meets all required standards, it is stamped with a health inspection mark or affixed with a certification label, confirming that the meat is safe and ready for commercial processing. The clean carcass is then transferred to a blast chilling room, where the temperature is maintained between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius. Once the carcass reaches the required temperature, it is moved into the deboning and cutting area. However, unlike premium beef breeds known for their rich marbling, tenderness, and juiciness when grilled, meat from older dairy cows tends to be tougher, leaner, and less visually appealing. Instead, most of the meat is sent for industrial processing, turned into products like sausages, pâté, meatballs, or ground beef. Thanks to its strong flavor and firm texture, this type of meat is especially well suited for slow-cooked dishes or recipes requiring high heat. From the first drop of milk to the final cut of meat, the life of a dairy cow is a story of devotion, transformation, and the unseen journey behind the food we often take for granted. To produce such luxurious fur, everything begins with carefully planned and calculated breeding. During mating season, farmers hand-pick mink breeding pairs with the most desirable coats: pure color, dense fur, fine texture, and no signs of genetic illness. Selected males are then moved into the females' cages to begin mating. After a pregnancy of around 50 days, baby minks are born with their eyes closed, barely any fur, and fragile bodies that require the constant warmth and care of their mother. In the first few weeks of life, mother minks instinctively stay close or cover their kits to keep them warm. At around 5 to 6 weeks old, the young begin to wean, their coats thicken, and they are separated into individual cages for better hygiene and to avoid fights. From this point on, their diet and environment are closely monitored to ensure their fur develops evenly in color, thickness, and commercial quality. Minks are usually raised in individual wire cages, each lined with straw or mesh to protect their paws and maintain hygiene. The ideal temperature is maintained between 5 to 15 degrees Celsius, cool enough to encourage thick, shiny, and uniform fur growth. Cleanliness is critical. Cages must be dry, well ventilated, and regularly cleaned to prevent skin diseases and fur loss caused by bacteria or stress. Even though they're cared for in near-perfect conditions, could it be that deep inside those tiny eyes, the tiny minks are still dreaming of a day when they can run wild and free in nature? To develop the thick, glossy, and uniform fur desired in the fashion industry, minks require a specialized, closely monitored diet. Crafting the ideal meal plan is no easy task. Ingredient selection plays a key role. Their food is a protein-rich blend of ground fish, meat, grains, fats, and essential vitamins. Once all the ingredients are ready, they're mixed in large industrial blenders. The ratios must be precise. Even a slight imbalance could affect the nutritional quality. The final product is a dense, meaty, fish-scented paste, packed with nutrients to keep those hungry little minks energized throughout the day. Every day, this feed is loaded into special distribution vehicles equipped with pressure nozzles that spray the mixture directly onto the top mesh of each cage. Unlike most animals fed from trays, minks have a natural habit of reaching upward to eat, mimicking their instinctual hunting behavior. This method not only saves time and labor, but also helps keep the bottom of the cages clean, reducing contamination and disease risk. After 7 to 8 months of growth and consuming several tons of ground fish, minks reach their prime, with their fur at its fullest, richest stage. As winter arrives, minks with the thickest, shiniest, and highest quality fur are gently captured by farmers using specialized tools and prepared for processing. They are placed into machines that use CO2 gas to induce unconsciousness, or in some cases, electrocution is applied, a method that ensures the process happens quickly. These methods are used with the intent to minimize pain and stress for the animals. Once the mink are completely immobilized, their bodies are transferred into a large rotating drum coated with lime powder or drying agents. This step helps clean the bodies, absorb moisture, and soften the skin in preparation for further treatment. At this stage, the mink are ready to enter the modern processing facility, a place where their pelts are transformed into the coveted soft gold of the high-end fashion world. When the transport trucks arrive at the factory, the mink with their soft, luxurious fur are unloaded into storage, ready to begin their transformation. The first step in the production line is skinning. The process begins with the worker making a small incision along the lower belly or between the mink's hind legs using a specialized cutting knife. This creates an opening point for skinning. Next, the mink is placed onto a skinning machine equipped with a clamping mechanism. The animal's hind legs are secured into position, while the lower section of the pelt is gently pulled downward by hand, with mechanical assistance providing steady force. Within just a few precise movements, the entire pelt, including the precious fur, is separated in one smooth motion, ensuring the fur's structure remains undamaged. Right after skinning, the pelts retain moisture, body oils, and natural odors. If left untreated, they spoil quickly, so the skins are transferred to a large rotating drum, similar to an industrial washing machine, filled with dry powders like fine sawdust, slaked lime, or wood flour. As the drum spins, the abrasive powder gently removes leftover fat, absorbs moisture, and softens the tissue inside the hide. This step also helps deodorize the pelt and temporarily preserves it until further processing. After completing the dry drum treatment stage, the pelts move on to the wet cleaning phase. This crucial step helps eliminate any remaining dirt and residues while stabilizing the pH level of the skin. The pelts are placed into a rotating drum washer filled with warm water mixed with salt, vinegar, baking soda, and a small amount of disinfectant solution. At this stage, the fur pelts are hung onto vertical cylindrical mounts, with each pelt secured using steel clips and rotated evenly around the cylinder. This arrangement optimizes space, enhances the circulation of hot air, and ensures the fur dries uniformly while maintaining its natural fluffiness. However, some facilities use a flat stretching method instead, spreading each pelt over a wooden or metal frame and securing it on all four sides using pins or hooks. If you think the mink fur processing ends here, think again. Right after the pelts are fully dried, they move on to the softening stage, where they are treated with natural oils. The purpose of this step is to restore the softness and flexibility of the leather base, which tends to become dry and stiff after the drying process. In cases where the natural fur color doesn't meet luxury fashion standards, pelts are selected for dyeing. They're immersed in special dye baths containing pigments, conditioners, and fixatives. Depending on the desired shade and fur type, the dyeing can take anywhere from several minutes to hours. During the spinning process, the dye penetrates every hair strand from root to tip, without damaging the hide. Once complete, the pelts are rinsed clean to remove excess dye, then dried again to lock in color while maintaining shine and softness. The dyed and treated pelts then undergo a visual and tactile inspection by experienced specialists. They examine color consistency, sheen, texture, thickness, and fur alignment. Trained eyes can spot minute imperfections, like hair direction mismatches or subtle scratches that machines might miss. Each pelt is then tagged and graded according to quality, from standard to premium. After the manual inspection, the pelts move to an automated sorting line. Here, sensors, cameras, and measuring tools analyze each pelt's dimensions, color uniformity, and hair density. The system then groups similar pelts together for easier matching during production or auctioning. Once sorted, the pelts are laid flat, folded neatly, and packed into moisture-proof, insect-resistant packaging. They're now ready to be shipped to international buyers or high-end auction houses. In top-tier tailoring workshops, expert artisans cut and stitch each pelt with meticulous care. The fur must be aligned perfectly, matching direction, color gradient, and texture, to create seamless pieces. From these skilled hands come luxurious garments, mink coats, shawls, hats, handbags, and accessories, symbols of elegance and status that can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. If you're not spending thousands on a luxury fur coat, would you consider dropping $1,000 just to sip a cup of coffee made from poop? So how exactly does animal waste turn into a dark, silky brew worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? Let's uncover the mystery. The journey begins in October each year when coffee trees enter their peak ripening season. Farmers carefully climb ladders to hand-pick ripe coffee cherries, even from the highest branches. Once the baskets are full, the cherries are sorted on site with extreme care. Only the brightest, ripest, and juiciest red cherries, those that meet the highest sweetness and aroma standards, are selected for civet coffee. Anything less is unworthy of becoming this gourmet product. In civet coffee farms, civets are kept in individual steel cages and fed a monotonous diet: red coffee cherries, day after day. No more wandering freely in the forest, no more choosing what they like. Now they eat only what's provided. Each day, caretakers prepare precise portions of cherries, placing them into trays inside the cages or feeding them directly by hand. The cherries must be ripe, clean, and unblemished. If a civet refuses to eat or vomits the cherries, the fermentation process fails, ruining the final product. Since civets are nocturnal by nature, most of their feeding happens at night. And here lies the first secret of this ultra-premium brew: the strange fermentation that takes place inside the civet's digestive system. The civet eats the cherries but only digests the sweet pulp outside. The beans inside remain intact as they pass through its system. During digestion, natural enzymes and gut flora seep through the bean's outer shell, subtly altering its internal protein structure. The result? Less bitterness, more sweetness, and a smooth, mellow aroma, a flavor profile no industrial process can truly replicate. After the civet has completed its mission, digesting the sweet pulp of the coffee cherry and excreting the intact, naturally fermented bean, farmers begin the most unusual harvest stage of the entire process. Each morning, workers walk along rows of cages, armed with small shovels or specialized gloves, carefully collecting the civet droppings that contain the precious coffee beans. It's not exactly the most glamorous job in the world, but it's the very first step in creating one of the most expensive coffees ever brewed. So here's the question. If you were paid $20 an hour, would you be willing to roll up your sleeves and join the elite ranks of the world's poop collectors? The fresh droppings are rushed to the first processing area, the beginning of the transformation from waste to black gold. There, workers in protective gear manually separate the beans from the feces, one by one. This step requires patience and precision, as each bean must remain whole and undamaged to preserve its quality for roasting later. The separated beans are then submerged in large tanks of water and washed thoroughly in several stages. The first rinse removes loose dirt. Then, the beans are soaked again and treated with a mild disinfectant solution to kill bacteria and eliminate odors. They're stirred by hand or using aeration systems to lift off any remaining residue. This multi-stage cleaning can take 2 to 4 hours, depending on how clean the beans are at the start. Once finished, the beans are drained and moved to the drying phase. After rinsing, the beans are spread out evenly across wire mesh trays or concrete drying yards. For the next 3 to 5 days, they're dried naturally under the sun. During this time, workers turn the beans several times a day, usually 3 to 4, to ensure even drying and prevent mold or unwanted fermentation. It might sound simple, but this step is critical. Poorly dried beans can ruin the flavor and consistency during roasting. Once the beans reach a moisture level of about 12%, they're finally ready for the most crucial phase, roasting. Roasting is where the magic happens, and the value of these rare beans is truly unlocked. The beans are placed into small, high-precision roasting machines. Temperature and time are carefully controlled, usually between 180 degrees and 220 degrees Celsius for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the desired roast level. Modern machines allow roasters to monitor aroma development in real time, adjusting airflow, drum speed, and heat levels with incredible precision. As the beans expand and crackle, they release a subtle, sweet aroma, softer than regular coffee, like opening a box of long-forgotten memories. When brewed, civet coffee produces a dark brown, crystal-clear liquid. Its flavor is smooth, low in bitterness, with a lingering sweetness and a faint hint of fermented fruit, all thanks to the natural microbial fermentation process inside the civet's stomach. A single kilogram of finished civet coffee can fetch anywhere from $500 to over $1,000, an astonishing price for something that was once considered waste. However, not every cup smells of freedom. The rising demand for civet coffee raises serious concerns about the welfare of the animals. When civets are forced to consume coffee cherries continuously, they often suffer from stress, declining health, and reduced reproductive ability, yet are still made to eat. That's why it's essential for farms to adopt humane farming practices that ensure a more natural and ethical environment for these animals. What are your thoughts on this issue? Feel free to share them in the comments below. Goats are some of the most adaptable and charming animals you'll ever meet. Known for their curious personalities and playful nature, goats are often seen as the comedians of the animal world. They can climb steep cliffs, nibble on almost anything green, and even form close bonds with their caregivers. Currently, the U.S. boasts a goat population of approximately 2.6 million, primarily concentrated in Texas and California, states with vast pastures and favorable climates that allow goats to thrive. In the U.S., goats are more than just farm animals. They're the superstars of agriculture. Dairy breeds like Saanen, Nubian, and Alpine are highly productive, each yielding 2 to 5 liters of milk per day, which is used to create products like cheese, yogurt, and even luxurious soap. Meanwhile, meat breeds such as Boer and Kiko are known for their lightning-fast growth, reaching a weight of 80 to 120 pounds in just 6 to 9 months, producing lean, nutrient-rich meat. Like many animals, goats embark on their journey through life with a carefully managed birthing process. A mother goat typically carries her kids for about 5 months and gives birth to 1 to 3 babies at a time. During pregnancy, these queen goats are pampered like royalty, with a special diet and regular health checkups to ensure a smooth delivery. The kidding season primarily takes place in spring when the weather is warm and pastures are abundant. This is also the busiest time for farmers, who closely monitor the goats, ready to assist in delivering healthy baby goats. A successful birth not only brings joy but also marks the beginning of the herd's growth and development. Newborn goats are dried off and kept warm immediately after birth. During their first week, they rely solely on their mother's milk, which is rich in antibodies to boost their immune systems. By the time they are 2 to 3 weeks old, baby goats start nibbling on hay or grains, although milk remains their primary source of nutrition. At 2 to 3 months, the kids are weaned and separated from their mothers. This allows the mother goat to recover and focus on milk production, while the young goats begin to develop independence. This crucial step helps them build natural immunity and prepares them for life out on the pasture. Adult goats primarily eat fresh grass, hay, and grains, consuming about 3% of their body weight daily. Feeding goats has become a high-tech operation with the help of robots. Imagine a sleek and efficient robot gliding through the barn, delivering precisely measured portions of food to eager goats waiting in their cozy stalls. These smart machines know exactly how much each goat needs, ensuring that no one misses out on essential nutrients. The ever-curious goats often follow the robot with playful hops, as if it's their new best friend. Farmers love these robots too. They save time, reduce waste, and keep the herd healthy and happy. Truly, a win-win for everyone. In the U.S., goat farming typically combines free-range grazing with modern, well-equipped barns. These barns are designed with proper ventilation, soft bedding, and ample access to clean water and nutritious food. Some farms even utilize innovative methods, like raising goats under solar panel arrays. This approach not only helps keep the grass trimmed naturally, but also maximizes the use of space, blending sustainable agriculture with renewable energy. When young goats reach 6 to 8 weeks of age, they are finally introduced to the vast pastures. In the U.S., these sprawling grasslands are more than just a place for exercise. They're a buffet loaded with a variety of grasses and shrubs. Goats, being naturally picky eaters, use their lips to select the juiciest blades of grass, and even climb low branches to nibble on leaves. Who said grazing at ground level was the only fun option? Allowing goats to roam freely not only helps reduce their stress, but also boosts their immunity and enhances the quality of their milk and meat. To manage a large herd on expansive pastures, herding dogs are indispensable right-hand helpers for farmers. These four-legged staff members excel at guiding and gathering the goats, leading them from one area to another with ease and order. But herding isn't their only job. These dogs are also the goats' personal bodyguards, protecting them from predators like wolves and coyotes. Always on alert, they can detect threats from a distance and act swiftly to neutralize dangers, often before the farmer even notices. Truly, they're the unsung heroes of goat farming. In the US, harvesting goat milk is nothing short of a fascinating journey where modern technology transforms a daily chore into an awe-inspiring performance. The goats, like radiant stars, confidently step onto the rotating milking system. Each goat is guided into its own individual stall, separated by horizontal bars, giving the impression of a goat beauty pageant with a mix of humor and elegance. Once comfortably in position, the automated milking machine takes over. Two gentle suction cups are attached to the goat's udder, performing the task smoothly and efficiently, ensuring the goats experience no discomfort. Within minutes, streams of pristine white milk are collected and transported directly into large cooling tanks. Here, the milk is rapidly chilled to 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, creating a perfect safeguard against bacteria and preserving its fresh, pure quality. The journey doesn't stop there. The milk is then transported to state-of-the-art processing facilities. At the factory, it undergoes a series of rigorous and precise steps. First, it's pasteurized at high temperatures for a few seconds to eliminate bacteria while retaining its natural flavor. Next, it is filtered and homogenized, resulting in a smooth and consistent texture that meets the highest standards. Finally, every drop is carefully packaged into beautifully labeled bottles or cartons, ready to grace supermarket shelves across America. From lush green pastures to cutting-edge factories, the journey of goat milk is a seamless blend of nature and technology. Behind every bottle of milk lies a magical story where goats shine as masterful milk producers in the animal kingdom. At the same processing plant, goat milk begins its transformation into exquisite cheese through an artful and meticulous process. First, the milk is gently heated to around 30 degrees Celsius, a warm-up stage to wake up rennet, the magical enzyme that turns liquid milk into soft curds. Once the milk solidifies, skilled hands, or sometimes intelligent machines, carefully cut the curds into smaller pieces, allowing the whey, the excess liquid in the milk, to separate more easily. But that's just the beginning. The curds are then pressed tightly to remove as much whey as possible, creating the dense texture that defines great cheese. After pressing, the curds are placed into molds to take shape, each piece beginning to resemble a small work of art. Once shaped, the cheese enters the most critical phase, aging. Over 2 to 6 weeks, the cheese is stored in a perfectly controlled environment with just the right temperature and humidity, a luxurious spa retreat where its flavors mature to their peak. During this time, the magic happens. The cheese develops a rich, creamy, and irresistibly savory profile that delights the palate. After achieving the ideal flavor, texture, and consistency, the cheese is carefully cleaned and packaged in attractive, well-labeled wraps. These delightful morsels are then ready to grace supermarket shelves, bringing joy to food lovers everywhere, from gourmet enthusiasts to dedicated cheese fanatics. From the fresh milk flowing from a goat's udder to the delicious cheese on your table, this journey is a symphony of science, art, and patience. Goat cheese isn't just food, it's a testament to human creativity. And if cheese could talk, it would proudly declare, "I am a true masterpiece." Alongside milk and cheese, goat meat is a standout product in American agriculture. The U.S. produces approximately 6,000 tons of goat meat annually, meeting domestic demand and contributing to exports. With its unique flavor, tender texture, and high nutritional value yet low-fat content, goat meat is a health-conscious choice. Whether grilled to perfection, simmered into a rich stew, or spiced up in a bold curry, goat meat always retains its natural, unforgettable taste, earning its place as the star of any feast. When it comes to luxurious fibers, goats steal the spotlight with their silky soft hair. Meet the stars of the show. Fiber goats like Angora and Cashmere goats. These fluffy wonders are like walking clouds, producing some of the most coveted materials in the textile world. Angora goats give us mohair, known for its sheen and durability, while Cashmere goats provide that irresistibly soft cashmere wool we all adore. Caring for these goats is a special task. They're combed or sheared gently once or twice a year to collect their prized fibers. The process doesn't hurt them. In fact, it's like giving them a refreshing haircut. These goats thrive in cooler climates, where their coats grow thick and luxurious. Not just practical, but also adorable. Fiber goats prove that beauty and utility can go hand in hand, one strand of wool at a time.